coming home, I'm coming home. Tell the world I'm coming home. Let the rain wash away.
It's not very often in this business where you actually get to come back to a place that you call home.
That's John Bonamego, and he's the new coach for Central Michigan University, just announced officially about an hour before our show, but the reports have been out since Friday. Central Michigan has a new coach to replace Dan Enos, and I know this isn't a sexy name when it was brought up on Friday. A lot of people looked at the resume, but he spent quite a bit of time coaching, 27 years. He's got 15, 16 years experience as a coordinator in the NFL. He was at Army, Lehigh, and Maine, and the college ranks as an assistant. But I think the most important thing of his resume to me, and I think the one thing that people have latched onto, he's a CMU alum. He graduated in '87, and I think that's a huge part of this is being able to unite the community and the personal relationships. I know former CMU guys like him. Lefevre has tweeted out, if the rumors are true, John Bonamego would be a fantastic hire, and I'm confident he would lead CMU football in the right direction. Lefevre's not just saying that because he wants to rally behind the new coach. He actually has personal experience back in Jacksonville when Lefevre was there. Bonamego was the special teams coach. I really think uniting the community is one thing we talked about with Zach Azzani as a candidate, and I think Bonamego fulfills it in the regard that I think he is going to try to make personal relationships. One of the things that was quoted in the application to be the next head coach was you had to, quote, generate revenues from external sources that support and enhance the operating budget of football and the overall athletic program by, among other methods, being directly involved in fundraising activities. This is like the anti-Enos clause. You have to get out there. You have to be involved in the community. I know he's taken the time to already personally call media members. He called Nate Schneider, a guy we've had on the show the last 2 weeks. He took the time and actually left a message with me before the show, reaching out to me. I think it shows that he has this personal connection. He was quoted already in the story saying this is his dream job. This is what he wanted to do, and now his dream has come true. And I know there's people out there that say it's not a sexy name, but I would argue that the wow factor has never won any games ever, and the wow factor is going to be how he relates personally with the donors, with personal fans, with recruits. And I think so far we're early, but he's starting to check off some of those boxes. Now, there's a lot of questions, and Brad, I'm sure we're going to get into them throughout the entire show, but we want the people to be involved too. 989-774-3691. Use the hashtag ChipChat. Be a part of the show today. We've got a whole bunch in the mix. Keno Davis and the Chippewas' big victory over Western Michigan yesterday. I'm calling it the most significant win of his era. We're going to talk about that around 7:30. But let's start with this hot Bonamego story, Brad. I want to get your thoughts as we bring you in and everybody into the show.
Well, everything that you said was real great, and the biggest thing for me in terms of a positive, because I don't really see many positives with this hiring, is the community connection. We've seen what success Keno Davis has had doing this and really reaching out to the community and allowing them to connect personally a lot of times. And you talked about the personal connection that he's already made with you and a couple other media members, through your work and other media members' works. But I mean, nothing that you mentioned there talked about anything with football. Nothing you mentioned talked anything with X's and O's,
right,
or his resume as a football coach. Because guess what? He's never been a head coach.
Right.
He's never been more than an assistant coach, which I don't even know what that means with Army, Lehigh, and Maine in the 90s. And I'd like to see something that says, hey, this guy's a good football mind, and I have not seen that yet outside of him being a special teams coach, and he bounced around doing that too with 5 NFL organizations. I want to see some football background with this guy, not just, he's a CMU alum, and he's a guy that you can really rally behind, and he's going to have a lot of passion, and it's his dream job. Well, guess what? I would hope you could go out and find across the 50 states of America a guy that has some passion to be a head coach at Central Michigan, whether he was a graduate here or not. There's got to be somebody out there with some passion, right? So
how many guys are passionate with 27 years of coaching experience? That's all I would say. And I think special teams do get knocked a little unfairly.
Is it unfair to try to go out and find somebody that makes a career and has a passion for their career? Is it that hard to find somebody with a passion for their career?
Are you saying he's not passionate about his career?
No, clearly he is.
Okay,
this is a dream job. But for the biggest reason that we hired this guy to say he's passionate about the job. Well, I would hope so. I would hope you'd take a job that you're passionate about.
Well, no, but I think the CMU alum thing carries a lot of weight. This is the first time a CMU alum has been the coach of the team since the 50s.
We talked all the time about Michigan and how they fall into the trap of, well, you can't pigeonhole yourself and say you have to get a Michigan guy.
Well, I don't think
Does it
that's
not
necessarily
seem like
how this
that's-
went, because we heard other names that were not CMU alums, right? I just think that was one of his bigger traits, and I think we talk about Michigan. We
I'd
talk
like a
about
big trait to be football and knowledge.
Well, nobody's
and
saying
wins
he can't coach football
at a level
This-
that is similar to the one that he just got hired for.
He was at Army, and to be fair, that season at Army, the best season they had was a 10-win season. That was the most.
I was
in the
3 years
program's
old when
history.
that happened. I was 3 years old.
I was
when that
more than
happened.
3 years old, and I don't think it really matters how old you were when he had success. Ultimately, it's going to depend on the staff he brings in, is kind of what you're saying, right? Because you want to see offensively and defensively, what's the scheme that John Bonamego is going to run. And I think that it's interesting because we talked about it on this show. Hickey came out and said after Enos left that scheme was secondary. And you and I both looked at each other and said, we agree. Scheme is secondary.
Yes.
It's about getting a guy to energize your program, to get the right coaches in place, and to develop talent and all of those things. Schemes, X's and O's, those can fit. Spread offenses work, spread offenses fail. I formation works, I formation fails. Did you get the right guy to motivate your athletes and motivate your community? And ultimately, is he going to win football games? I think on February 8th is a little early to be assuming.
Well, it's unfair to say that now.
Yeah, so if we're really starting to say, well, what X's and O's is he going to run? Well, he was formally introduced a little over an hour ago, and I'm sorry we don't know the offense or defense yet. I'm intrigued, though. I do want to know what they're going to run, and I know those are things that we're going to talk about. Questions like, does the offense fit Cooper Rush? Can they bring in an offensive scheme to fit Cooper? How many of the assistants stay?